Okay. Welcome back to Lock 22 Sports Daily. I'm Ben Shrewsbury. That's James Marvs. We are here right here on youtube.com/Lock22 every night at 8 p.m. Central and the next morning on TikTok. Just a reminder, folks, if you're watching on the YouTube and haven't followed the TikTok yet, be sure to go and do that. We got a whole bunch of content that we only do over there on the TikTok. Not to mention, if you're watching on TikTok, go subscribe to the YouTube because there's a whole bunch of content over there you probably haven't seen.
True story.
So, James, how are you today, sir?
I'm ready for the weekend.
The clock starts now, and we're going to start about where we've started just about every episode of this show, it feels
Uh-oh.
like, with Major League Baseball,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I'm curious about this because I'm looking over the show notes, which I typically write. Ben comes in and he puts his little touches on it, and it says rant.
Yes.
So we moved baseball from the end to the front because I want to know what this rant is.
To give you folks an idea, a little inside baseball here, no pun intended, this was originally a two-minute segment at the end of the show. That's how this started. Okay. My rant is this. The purity of baseball is dead, ladies and gentlemen. This World Series is bore proof of it. Allow me to explain. Name two superstars on each of these teams that they have developed from draft to now. Yankees have one, it's Aaron Judge. I will
Volpe.
grant you.
You could argue that Volpe is
I would argue Volpe is a very good player. He's not a star.
all right, but that's there's teams that don't even have stars. So Volpe is better than a lot of guys that he would start on a lot of teams, is what I'm telling you. But go ahead, go
Correct.
ahead.
Now, for this comparison, I'm actually going to use the Mariners. The Mariners have two homegrown stars already, and they're not even in the playoffs in Logan Gilbert and Julio Rodriguez.
You don't think Cal Raleigh's a star?
I do think Cal Raleigh's a star,
Cal
but I was
Raleigh's the
using those
best catcher in baseball, buddy, and
I
he's from
was using those two as
Oklahoma.
just an example. This is an
All
example
right, well then
case.
you got to add Bryce Miller, you got to add Brandon Wu, you got to add the other guy,
See,
George
the
Kirby.
Mariners are doing things the way things are supposed to be done in baseball, which
That's
is
why I don't want our GM fired.
the
Go ahead,
Mariners
man.
do
I'm
th-
sorry.
the Mariners have done things the right way, which is they've built through the draft and they've added to those pieces that they've drafted and accumulated over the years in different prospects with trades and free agency. Smart trades and smart free agency. What have the Dodgers done? Thrown money at their problems for the better part of the last 15 years, as they have done for pretty much their entire history, but especially in the last 15 years when they realized they sucked for a while. What have the Yankees done historically? Actually, the Yankees, historically, before the Juan Soto era, actually were pretty good at developing talent. Remember Derek Jeter, folks? He came up through the Yankee system. You could go back and all these Yankees homegrown stars, I'm not going to list them all here because frankly, there's too many to list. You get my point.
I
The
get your
purity of
point,
baseball is
but I
dead.
want to let you finish before I
The
uh
purity of baseball is dead. And sure, I grant you, is it going to be cool to see Otani and Betts, who didn't come up with the Dodgers, have no real affiliation to the Dodgers other than the fact that they're getting hundreds of millions of dollars over the next several years to the Dodgers, don't really care about the organization, don't care about the city, and the only reason they're there is because there's money there. Sure, it'll be cool to watch these bounty hunters go collect their bounty. I digress.
all right. First of all, young man, I appreciate and I probably shared your opinion when I was a younger person. But here's the thing. I don't think about dollars and cents now when it comes to baseball. We had
Damon, you have to.
we had the Royals win the World Series within the last 10 years. how can you say that the purity of baseball is dead? And Ben, I will tell you this. Yes, I love that the Seattle Mariners have the best farm system in baseball and that our players are coming up through the pipeline. And I can name probably five or six players that are going to be stars in this league that are on the back end of our minor league development. But
How will you enjoy it when they're playing for the Dodgers in 6 years?
here's the thing. Here's the thing, Ben. First of all, I don't know that they will be. They have to prove that they're a star before that they are wanted by those teams.
What are
First,
you going to do if Julio Rodriguez goes to the Yankees?
he's signed a 14-year contract, buddy. I mean, it'd be
What
up
if
to us to
what have
trade.
we learned about sports contracts in the last 10 years,
It'd be
Damon?
up to
They
us
don't
to
mean a
trade
damn
him.
thing.
It'd be up to us to trade him. But here's the thing: the purity of baseball. This World Series is featuring two of the top watched and beloved franchises. So while we do things right in Seattle and we have our homegrown talent, if the Mariners are in the World Series, I'm all smiles. I'm happy everywhere I go. I'm buying people drinks everywhere, but no one's watching it. All right. The problem is not the
No
money.
one's
The
going to be
problem,
watching this either.
look, I'm going to give you an example. Anybody that, like, I know that there's a lot of ladies that watch this show because I'm so sexy and they just want to know a little bit about sports. They don't really know anything. But if you said the name LeBron James, they'd be like, "Yeah, I know who that is." If you said Michael Jordan, "Yeah, I know who that is." If you said Patrick Mahomes, "Yeah, I know who that is." If you said Mike Trout, they're like, "What? Who's that?" Baseball's problem is not the team spending money on players. It's not having a presence with the general public. No one knows who these guys are. They've got to make it more exciting.
That is a
That's
secondary
the biggest
problem.
problem that they have.
That is another problem created by baseball's spending problem. And yes, baseball has a spending problem, folks. I don't think that's news to anyone. Baseball has a spending problem on the wrong things. They don't spend their money on marketing.
I mean, the league, it's up to the league to figure out how to market the league, not the teams. The teams
Well,
need to play
the
with the
30
best.
owners have a say in that, though.
Well, the owners need to put together the best rosters that they can with what they can afford. And unfortunately, stuck in the middle with less than 1 million people in their city, like Kansas City, Minnesota, they're gonna not have as much money
Minnesota has more than a million people.
necessarily. But you know what I'm saying? They don't have 20 million like New York. So
Well, most cities in America don't have 20 million like New York.
that's what I'm saying. You've got your
I
major
just
market teams and you've got your small markets. And unfortunately,
here's been my argument with this World Series. And listen, I love Jeff Passan. I'm a Jeff Passan defender. But he went on Ryan Russillo's show this week and tried to defend this World Series and say it was the greatest thing to ever happen. And I disagree with him. And I
that,
like Passan more than just about anybody.
that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the greatest thing that ever happened, but it's not, it's going to be entertaining. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm sorry
It'll
that
be entertaining for four at bats a game.
I'm
For
sorry
four at bats a
that you
game,
don't like the
it'll be
two
entertaining.
teams. Well, that's your opinion, man. I don't know what else to tell you. If it goes only 4 games, then we'll talk. But if we get into 6 and 7, I think it's going to be considered one of the better World Series that we've seen. So that's where I'm at.
Well, Damon, we do have a UFC card this weekend. I have pretty much stopped watching UFC entirely in the last 5 years or so. But this fight actually sounds somewhat interesting. It's Tapura and Holloway for the featherweight title. Sounds like I haven't seen the rest of the card. I know that's the headliner. That's a pretty good main event. Again, I just UFC has gone so sideways
You know
in the
what's
last
weird to
five
me?
years.
I didn't watch it until 5 years. I've only been watching it about 5 years. But I will tell you this, if I'm not incorrect, this match is going to be at like 2 o'clock p.m. tomorrow.
Are they in Saudi?
I don't know where they're at, but that would make sense. Um,
Yeah. WWE is going to be in Saudi next week, so that's why I kind of figured they were in Saudi
so it'll
because
be in
they're owned
the
by
middle of all the college football stuff. So, um, yeah, I suppose I'll have it up and I'll be watching
on one of your 18 screens there.
it. Yeah.
Well, speaking of football, Damon, we did have a Thursday night football game last night. My Minnesota Vikings went into SoFi, and the Rams did everything they could to lose this game, and they still won.
Yeah, I should have put money on this game. I know
You should
that
have.
I know that in my pick for picks, um I stuck with Darnold and I stuck with the Vikings. Oh, but everything I said was that I was like, look, the Rams are could very easily win this game. I'm not at all going to be surprised if that happens. They're getting some guys back, and I mean, Puka Nakua dropped the first pass that was thrown to him after that. He nabbed everything. I think he got 8 or 9 catches, 7 catches, I think it was. And I mean, give him a couple more weeks. The Rams are going to be back to where they were a couple years ago, and it'll be a thorn in my
If
side.
they stay healthy, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. If they stay healthy.
That's why I wasn't surprised because they've underperformed, yes, up until now, but I'm like, it's still Sean McVay and it's still the Rams, dude. Yeah,
It's still Matt Stafford, and whatever you want to say about Stafford, that guy's not human when it comes to just powering through whatever the hell's going on with
he
his
had four
body.
touchdown passes last night.
And he's hurt too. He's hurt too, and he's still out there flinging the ball around like he's Brett Favre in 1999. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I didn't think Darnold was bad at all last night.
dude,
I actually
Darnold's
thought,
solid 18 for 25, 240, and 2 tutties. Normally that's enough to get it done, but like,
and he looked better than that. Like, the numbers are good, and he looked better than that.
well, let's talk about the elephant in the room. 28-20, you're in your own end zone. You get safety. That's a face mask all day long, bro.
And twice on Sunday.
Why? What happened? What? I'm tired of the referees being a factor in the outcome of
Do you
games.
know what
It
happened?
shouldn't happen. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You got to get your product right on the field.
Do you know what happened, Damon?
Yeah, you got face masks right. The camera angle I saw, I could see the ref's head looking right at the play. Darnold's head goes all the way this way, and he could have called that or a horse collar, anything, and then look at it, make sure that you saw what you saw. But I was like, Christ Almighty!
Okay, here's my here's two things. One, even if they call that face mask, I don't think the Vikings win this game. I
That's
don't,
fine. Yeah, that could be true.
and two, that crowd was incredibly hostile last night, all night toward the refs, and I wonder if they got a little gun shy.
Man, I don't care. You got to call the game, though, but you got to call it. You got to call what you see, and then forget the fans. The fans can be mad about calls, just don't miss calls. Like make the right calls. And who cares
Aaron
what the
Jones
fans say?
last night. I do want to move on for a second. Aaron Jones last night was disappointing. 19 carries, 58 yards. He just could not get going.
I mean, that's not the worst performance, but yeah, when you give a guy the ball 19 times, you kind of expect a little more than that. Um, yeah, that's tough because you got Kyron Williams on the other side who ran for 100 and he had a touchdown catch. So,
Right.
I mean, yeah, in comparison, they didn't look good.
The other big headline coming out of this, Christian Darrisaw.
Left tackle, bro. That's gonna hurt.
That's it. Um,
What happened to him? He's out for a season, but I didn't see what the injury was.
Severe damage to his ACL and MCL.
Hmm. That's not
That's what the that's what the Athletic was reporting today. So that's not good.
that's not good. Not good at all.
Damon, you wanted to talk about Robert Saleh?
I do. Guess who's been seen walking up and down the sidelines at the old Green Bay Packers facility during practices? I guess you said it already. The newly free agented Robert Saleh. Apparently,
Has a job again.
think about this though. I wanted this is why it's interesting, and this is why I put it on the docket for today. If somehow the Packers, heaven forbid, won the Super Bowl, the Jets are paying Saleh to effectively be an offensive or a defensive mind on the offensive side of Green Bay. So he's not working with their defense. He's working with their offense to give their offense a different defensive perspective than what they're seeing every day. So that's really awesome. They get to play against a good defense because the Packers defense has not been a problem really. It's the offense that's like, oh, we got to catch up to this. Now, if they're playing against that defense, but getting an alternative perspective from somebody that, quite honestly, coached a pretty damn good defense there in New York, this is
Coached a couple of them when you think about his time in San Francisco.
yeah, this is interesting to me. And I don't hate Robert Saleh. I know I was a proponent for him being fired, not when he was, but he should not have been there already. Quite honestly, the underperformance of him in that program for 5 years, 4 or 5 years straight was enough. Um, they did him dirty. That's all I'm gonna say. If they stuck
Is
with
this
him,
record time for a guy getting fired and immediately getting a new job? Is this record time?
I don't know that it's officially a job that he's getting paid for. I know that he was best man at dude's wedding. So
LaFleur?
yeah,
Yeah.
LaFleur's wedding. So they're buddies. This is cool, man. It'd be like having one of your best friends back. Oh, and by the way, you can help my football team get better. Are the Packers going to get better with Salah there? I can't imagine them getting worse with him there. So uh
I think Saleh got too much crap in New York. I think the problem in New York was the owner. Woody Johnson is a
we're
meddling.
seeing that now. I mean, he's letting Aaron Rodgers pretty much run the show. And I'm telling you right now, if Aaron Rodgers is on that team next year, just what are you doing? What are you doing? What are they gonna do though? I mean, they're gonna have to draft.
Imagine if Aaron Rodgers is there and Devontae Adams asks out. That's
Oh,
happened
that would
before.
be absolutely hysterical. Um,
Or I got something even funnier for you. What if Rodgers goes on McAfee's show in June and says he wants a trade?
is he signed after this year?
Yes,
He is? Are you
for
sure
next year,
about
yeah.
that? We need to fact
100.
check that.
He restructured his deal. He's signed through next year now.
What are they doing? Do they think he's going to get better next year? He's already slowing down. He's already
They
throwing
certainly seem to.
interceptions, more interceptions than he's ever thrown. He can't move around anymore. He's throwing balls in the dirt 5 feet in front of guys and then blaming them for running the wrong routes. The guy's a dick. He doesn't have any leadership ability. And you know what? I hope they do stick with him because they're going to be a dumpster fire for the next 2 seasons. But I will say they have one of the easiest schedules I've ever seen moving forward. The good news is they're going to have to win 9 of the 10 games remaining to make the playoffs.
Do you want to know the crazy thing? This Aaron Rodgers thing reminds me of Peyton Manning at the end, but Peyton Manning was a good leader.
Dude, Peyton Manning was never a dick, just an outright dick to people.
No,
Not in
Peyton
my
had
estimation.
confidence and an ego, but like Peyton was a good leader. Peyton was a good teammate. People liked Peyton.
Oh, yeah. I
Now, did he
mean,
fall apart at the end?
no, I
Yes.
can see what you're saying because I remember him yelling at Jeff Saturday, being like, "I make the calls. You don't. You just. We're gonna run, Jeff." He's like, "Can we just run the fucking ball?" He's like, "We're gonna run, Jeff." That's one of my favorite clips of all time because those two guys just absolutely loved each other, but on that particular day, they were
Yeah,
not.
that's why Jeff Saturday got the Colts job at one point and then
Yeah. All right.
proceeded to not win a game.
I want to move on from the NFL after this because this one just pisses me off. I found out about half an hour ago that DK Metcalf is doubtful for the biggest game of the year against the Bills. So uh, I picked Seattle to beat the Bills. I just don't know if we can do it without DK Metcalf. We'll see.
Well, we'll move on to college football here in 10 seconds, but if you enjoy listening to Damon yell about football, be sure to go check out NFL right here on Lock 22 every single week. Now let's talk about some college football. James,
I covered all these games yesterday.
okay. Well,
I
I
didn't have
I want to talk about one that's not on here. I'm going to spend 2 minutes on it.
no, go for it. You should have put them
Boise's. I I just forgot to write it in. Boise State UNLV is tonight. It's the biggest game of the year in the Mountain West because both those teams look really good. Ashton Genty looks like he could win the Heisman for Boise. He's already over 1,000 yards. He was over 1,000 yards 2 weeks ago. Ashton Genty is incredible. This guy's gonna just be an absolute animal at the next level.
Let me
And he
ask you
kind of
this. Do they, I mean, I realize I'm just looking at it from a perspective of what is recognized. Now, in the Mountain West, having 1,000 yards isn't the same as having 1,000 yards in the SEC, for example, or the Big Ten.
right, right. But here's the thing: it is feasible with where he's at right now that he rushes for 3,000.
That would be
It is feasible.
that
It's
would be
not likely. It's not like, don't get me wrong, it's not like guaranteed, but it is possible at this point.
fair.
He has been compared to Maurice Jones-Drew crossed with Kenneth Walker in college. Like, that's how good this guy is. I'm telling you, this guy's going to be in the draft, and he's going to probably be a second round pick.
Is he a senior?
Yeah.
What's he doing in the Mountain West? He could have got money and played for a big team. I mean, I like
Uh,
it. I like guys that stick around where they're
because he was really good last year, but he didn't pop like this.
all right, fair enough.
Let's talk about the NBA a little bit, James.
Do we have to? No, I'm kidding. Man, the Celtics are good. Turns out
Who would have thunk it, right? The team that won the title last year is really good.
the
It's the
Wizards
same team. Did
Wizards are pretty good too. Uh, they got some
you go a
ball.
little higher register on that one? You go a little higher
No,
register
they're
on the
not
Wizards
quite
being
as
good?
good. They're not quite as good as Boston. But you got I watched the San Antonio and Dallas game, the battle for Texas. And you know, I wanna see Wemby take a real leap in his second season.
I want
Um,
to see Wemby on a good team.
well, I don't necessarily want to see him leave there, but maybe I was thinking if like Damian Lillard played there, that might be the oomph that they need.
I don't know that Lillard leaves Milwaukee.
No, he's not going to leave Milwaukee. Especially if they figure out, I mean, if they have another season like they did last year, I could easily see them saying, all right, this is not working. We can't figure out how to use the both of you with all the others talent that we have. But
I just don't see that happening.
I don't, well, based on the first game, they seem to have a little bit of chemistry. But again, that's just one game. So what do I know? Doncic, dude, 28 points. He's a baller. He's gonna be in conversation for MVP, and I think they're gonna be right back where they were last year in the conference finals, at least.
Uh, the Thunder just absolutely rolled over the Nuggets. I mean, just rolled them.
Yeah, what's going on there? I realized they got Chet Holmgren and they got the other blah, 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 I can't ever pronounce his name.
Gilgeous Alexander.
Yeah, those guys are a wicked tandem, man, for that team. But the Nuggets got the defending MVP, like two-time MVP, and he's not even taking shots. What was that? He took like 10 shots. It's not
It.
enough.
How closely did you watch parts of this. The body language was completely off for Denver.
Yeah,
I don't know if you,
like what?
did they not look just like they quit
Look,
at one
well,
point?
he I already know that he doesn't really love playing bat. It's not like he doesn't love it. Like it's not part of his core. Because like the moment that they won the title, he was like, I just want to go home. He like didn't want to stay around for the parade or anything. He's like, I just want to go home. Like, so I question like his longevity and yeah, he's a great player. He's got all the talent in the world, but he's got no heart. If you don't want to do it, like I could see him being done in 5 to 7 years and just being like, I'm out of here. I made all the
I
money I
could.
need to make. I'm done.
I think it's going to be less than that. Uh,
Dude, yeah,
Wolves.
I would not be surprised.
Wolves escaped Sacramento, and that's the proper word for it. They escaped Sacramento
Dude,
with a
Sacramento is a stacked team. You got
yeah. People don't realize that either.
people, you need to realize it. Like it's time for you to stand up and realize that the
Oh,
freaking
that team's loaded.
Sacramento they might be in the conference championship also. I would not be surprised because they've got on that roster, they've got Keegan Murray, who out of Iowa was probably the best player to come out of Iowa in a long time. They made that trade for Sabonis from Indiana, and he is a golden god there. And then you got
remember when
DeRozan, and
remember when Sabonis was in Indiana and he looked awful, like just all the
I
time.
mean,
Just
I never thought that. I Like you got to understand Ben. I'm a fan of his automatically because his dad Arvidas played for Portland at the end of his career, and I'm just like, what? He has a kid and he's good too. Yeah, I love that. I love that guy from the beginning, man.
but
But I
the
mean, to your point, I have always seen him through rose-colored glasses, so no, I
but
don't.
let's not forget he was the centerpiece of the Halliburton trade, and you can't argue Indiana lost that trade because Halliburton is phenomenal.
He is an Iowa State boy too.
Uh,
Yeah, I was.
he let's not forget Halliburton dragged that carcass of a Pacers team to the playoffs last year.
But but let me think about it. If if they still had him and they didn't have Sabonis, how where does he fit? Like they traded for what they needed. So I don't know that there's a winner or a loser in that.
They should have traded De'Aaron Fox instead of Halliburton. That was always my argument.
Well, I guess that I don't know that they would have gotten it done at that point. But who knew? Who knew? Halliburton just turned it on all of a sudden. And of course, Sacramento's got that Creighton kid that I love that's bounced around the league forever and ever, Doug McDermott. Um, they just got a lot of depth, you know.
How fun is Doug McDermott to watch like 3 times a year when he's just wide open for no reason 20 times a game?
I mean, I love watching him play just because it reminds me of when I watched him at Creighton. His dad's the coach there still. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was good times. I'm enjoying this NBA season early more than I've enjoyed any NBA season because of this show and the fact that I actually have to pay attention and like start knowing a little bit more than I have in years
I
past.
wish I could enjoy the baseball playoffs as much as you're enjoying the early basketball season.
Yeah. Well, we got about a minute and a half to talk hockey. So,
Well, I let's just Wild won last night 4-2. They beat Tampa.
you know what?
Kraken
F you.
uh, Kraken lose a heartbreaker in overtime. Another game
Dude.
they should have won.
So when or the Jets are friggin' undefeated right now,
Yep.
7-0. And yeah, we took him to overtime and then we choked. Matty Beniers would have taken him a hat trick to get this done, but it was nice to see Matty play with some authority. You know what though? I want to say Colorado has got two really sweet wins in a row. All right. They beat us and now they beat the Utah Hockey Club and I mean, for a team that was spiraling down, that's two really good wins. Got about 14 seconds left.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. We're off Monday. We'll see you Tuesday. Till then, have a great weekend, and we'll see you then. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye bye.
Big long show coming on Tuesday. Hopefully we can get it all out. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, brother.